Ow! Stupid wires, Oh, it's finally working! Okay. Hello? Oh, I never thought I'd get this hunk of junk up and working. All right. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope at least someone can hear me out there, wherever you are. Allow me to introduce myself. You can call me Care, and I'm going to be your lovely host on this station from here on out. I've been holed up here in this old radio station for a while now, ever since the shit hit the fan, and figured it was worth the effort to get it all up and running. Maybe that way someone can find these broadcasts useful. Now that it's all functional, I can finally get some much-needed sleep and prep for future broadcasts. In the meantime, I hope all of you find a safe place. Barricade yourselves in for the night and stay alert. This is Care signing out from K101.3. I'll think of a call sign later, I guess. Good evening, all you wasteland survivors. This is Care checking in from Badlands Radio. I'm not sure what kind of weather you may be experiencing, but here in Portland, it's currently a comfortable 65 degrees with passing clouds, and as the sun sets on the ruins of our city, I'm left to wonder what you guys could be up to out there. Let's be honest, no one knew this was coming, and if anyone did, they sure weren't saying anything about it. Me, I guess you could say I caught a lucky break. Not getting taken out by the initial wave, stumbling upon this empty place. Speaking of which, I've located a shortwave radio in the back. Nothing big like this broadcast tower, but with phone service being inconsistent and we don't exactly get mail anymore, I've been checking into it regularly. Maybe some of you guys can get a hold of me if you're within distance. We can share some stories, relay information. Yeah, actually, if any of you out there are interested, I'll even drop advertisements right here on the air for you. We're all in this together, right? I don't have a lot of information as of yet. Mine is certainly limited, but I do know one thing. Stay out of the rain. I know that's a challenge in Portland, but this rain, it isn't normal. Not anymore, not since this all began. Luckily, we're going into summer, so precipitation will be less frequent, but I strongly suggest scavenging some tarps or rain gear if possible, and definitely boil any water you come across before drinking it. Well, unless it's bottled. Good thing our country loves bottled water, huh? I mean, at least for the first months there won't be a shortage. Some of you may wonder why I choose to broadcast in the evening. Well, it's pretty simple, honestly. Daylight is best used for scavenging, when high visibility means risk of danger is at its lowest, and we all have errands to get done. But when night falls, if you're like me, you've learned to find shelter. The things that sniff around and scratch at the doors, they're bigger than they sound. And when you're sitting there, in the dark, in the night, a few inches of wood and drywall the only thing standing between you and your untimely demise. And the silence is broken by the sound of something gurgling outside and what you can only assume is pain. And then you feel a shiver crawl up your spine and take hold in your chest like the icy hand of death itself. Excuse me. I wandered off there. Night is a time when we have the ability to listen, no matter who we are or where we're taking shelter. Don't worry, I don't think those things are the keenest of hearing, so my voice on a low volume shouldn't be anything to put you in any real danger. Perhaps it'll even help drown out the haunting sounds outside your walls, even if it's just a little bit. I'd like to know how many survivors are out there. I've seen a few, but, well, they aren't the type you want to associate with. So I'll be keeping an ear on my CB radio. Drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you. This is Kara with Badlands Radio signing out. Good night, Portland. Good evening, my fellow survivors. My name is Kara. This is Badlands Radio, delivering another broadcast straight to you from the ruins of Portland. Currently, it's 73 degrees and overcast as a thick cloud seems to have settled upon our fair city. It doesn't appear to be a mist or precipitation, but rather some sort of smoke, leading me to wonder if there may be fires burning somewhere among the crumbled buildings. The skies have turned orange. It's unreal, honestly, as the sunlight itself is filtered in an amber color, bathing everything in that hue. Visibility is limited, and hopefully no one is planning to travel by car, as the freeways remain locked with abandoned vehicles as they have been for quite some time now. I doubt that will be changing anytime soon. I hope all of you have been keeping safe, building up strong walls and secure shelters. There have been multiple different types of obstacles spotted out in the world these days, varying in both size and tactic, and it's more important than ever to find a safe haven where you can sleep without worry of something tearing you apart. As discussed on my previous broadcast, I've been provided with a few messages to relay on air. This message comes from Mr. Kuntz over in the Portsmouth area. He would like me to remind people that even during this hectic time, he still asks that everyone and their pets stay off his lawn. He recently noticed 9 prints, possibly from a large dog or other pet, from rooting around in his prize-winning rose bushes, and wants to reiterate that he has no intention of losing his illustrious reputation in the gardening community simply because of a temporary societal collapse. Thank you, Mr. Kuntz. Hopefully everyone will heed your warning to stay off of your land. I feel I should address something, though I confess I'm not entirely sure how to approach it. Some of the survivors out there have gotten these strange ideas. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not wanting to tell anyone that what they should or shouldn't be doing. However, there is a line, and Excuse me one moment, my fellow scavengers. Okay, I'm back. I think something got in here. I can't see it right now. I apologize for the sudden alteration in our regularly scheduled programming, but I do believe I should see to this urgent issue immediately. This is Kara with Badlands Radio signing off. Good night, Portland. Good evening, survivors. And this is Kara with Badlands Radio checking in. It is currently 75 degrees and here in Portland, and the smog-like cloud is yet to lift from our city. I apologize once again for the sudden halt of my last broadcast. Despite my best efforts, it appears something has managed to wriggle in past my defenses. I think it got in through the ventilation, despite the grates secured onto the ducts, but that would mean maybe they... Anyway, I'm hoping it found its way back out, as I have turned this basement upside down and still haven't found a living thing. I have, however, collected some information to share with you right after this short ad. The Portland City Council would like to ask for the community's help in locating the current mayor, Ted Wheeler, who vanished from his office approximately 20 days ago. Mayor Wheeler is the only one who knows the Wi-Fi password, and the council is running out of letterhead paper. Anyone with information on Mayor Wheeler or his whereabouts is asked to return him to the Portland City office off of Madison Street. All right, we're back. First off, allow me to clarify that I am no scientist. I have not had any previous education in it, nor have I participated in any of the studies, which is why I need your help to glean any information from what I've gathered. Whatever it was, it did leave traces that it was here. There's this trail? Mucus, possibly. The type of trail that slugs and snails leave behind after they've been somewhere, except much larger, winding between boxes and over surfaces. I followed it, which confirms it entered through the vent despite the grate, but it goes in circles over itself, and I honestly can't track its direction after a while. I'm hoping it went back through the way it entered. The slime trail doesn't appear to be harmful from what I can tell, but I'm not gonna go dare touching it to find out. It's all dried up now and left this film that's shiny behind. It kind of looks like when someone spills oil on a wet road, you know, like all the rainbow swirls. It would be kind of pretty if it wasn't uncomfortable about whatever left it. I'm not entirely sure what it was looking for, if anything, because aside from knocking over some boxes, it hasn't really damaged anything or eaten any of my supplies. I mean, it did leave this odor, though. It's not horrible, but it's difficult to put my finger on. And I keep catching a whiff of it every so often, like especially the air coming from the vents, and I can hear... Never mind. Regardless, I'm going to be sleeping with one eye open tonight, and I hope that you out there don't have to. Please stay safe out there, my fellow survivors. Be sure to fence off ventilation systems and small gaps, as you never really know what will come in. This is Care with Badlands Radio signing off. Good night, Portland. Good evening, survivors. This is Care with Badlands Radio checking in. The smog blanketing the city has only grown thicker as of late, further limiting visibility even during daylight hours.
They know I'm down here now.
Just because we can't see them doesn't mean they're not still there, moving amongst the rubble. Some small, slithering between piles of debris. Some as massive as skyscrapers. Their tree-like legs swinging with such great strength as they stride effortlessly over the ruins of our once fair city.
But they're not gods.
I've recently been hearing people say some things, which I will address, I assure you, but only after a short advertisement break.
I don't know how much longer I'll be safe, but
A group of people have begun to gather in front of the Pioneer Place Mall, demanding it reopen its doors to the public. This is after it, and many other businesses, have closed for the foreseeable future, pending the recent destruction of a vast portion of Portland, and the temporary socio-economic collapse which brought commerce to a screeching halt. Despite this, people are still angry that they cannot shop and, more importantly, mall walk. The protest group's self-appointed spokesperson, Miss Bradbury, has stated that they are giving the mall 19 hours to open before they will forcefully enter the premises and go shopping without consent. I can only wonder if they intend to pay for their purchases, as I doubt any employees will actually be alive to show up to operate the registers. Moving back to the topic at hand, I know there have been some murmurs, some groups perhaps, which are looking at these things, I suppose I can call them creatures, as something more. Something perhaps higher than what they truly are. I'll be blunt here. These creatures are not gods. I know some people have called them that, but I assure you, these things are not gods. While we still don't know where they came from or why they came here specifically, the most important thing is for you to keep away from them, for you to stay safe. Please do not attempt to engage any of these creatures. Do not consume anything that is secreted off of them, and remain barricaded away from them. Don't attempt to contact them. Don't attempt to speak to them. They are dangerous, and many of them will kill you if given the opportunity. This is Care with Badlands Radio signing off. Good night, Portland. Good evening, survivors. This is Care with Badlands Radio checking in, and things have been strange for me today. I woke this morning to rain in my bunker. I guess you could call it rain, if blood dripping through my ceiling counts as rain. The people upstairs in the building are no doubt responsible, and I never thought the Ark would resort to sacrifices, but I can't explain any other reason for the red stain leaking through my ceiling. But first, a short break. The University of Portland has agreed to allow students to get reimbursement for the classes canceled this term, said Dean Verne, after the majority of the university campus unexpectedly sank into the earth and was replaced by what appears to be a field of black sand. Students wishing for reimbursement need to submit their request in writing within the next 2 weeks or forfeit their payments. And we're back. The change of weather in my bunker brought my previous visitor out, and he's not as bad as I thought he'd be. He does indeed leave a strange slime trail, but he isn't a slug at all. I guess I could describe him as a salamander? Maybe more like a leopard gecko, if they secreted slime from their thick tails and had these spine-like appendages lining their back. He is actually kind of cute. Since he doesn't seem to be hostile, I've decided I'll let him take sanctuary in here with me. I've named him Oswell. He seems to be quite attracted to the blood pooling in the center of my floor, despite my best efforts to contain that with buckets. Though all he seems to be doing is rolling around in it like a dog. I think I'll take this opportunity to study one of those creatures up close. Stay safe out there, survivors, and I look forward to sharing my findings with you. This is Care with Badlands Radio signing off. Good night, Portland.
Ten, 15, 9, 14, 20, 8, 5, 1, 18, 11, 3, 15, 13, 5, 20, 15, 20, 8, 5, 18, 1, 4, 9, 15, 19, 20, 1, 20, 9, 15, 14, 15, 14, 13, 1, 4, 9, 19, 15, 14, 19, 20, 18, 5, 5, 20, 2, 5, 3, 15, 13, 5, 16, 1, 18, 20, 15, 6, 20, 8, 5, 14, 5, 23, 23, 15, 18, 12, 4,
Good evening, survivors. This is Care with Badlands Radio checking in. As the summer begins to fade to autumn, the sun will be present less and less with each passing day. The leaves, which usually would be painted with shades of gold and orange like the flames that still lick at the crumbled debris of what was once the famous Powell's bookstore, have bloomed into shades of violet and plum, veins of cobalt spidering through their branches like tiny rivers etched into the bark. Truly, this autumn will be unlike any other beneath a moon-stained rose by the smoke suffocating the city. Let's take a short ad break first.
David, I'm coming for you.
Raiders have begun to terrorize Portland, ripping through the suburban districts and ransacking both abandoned and occupied homes. One particular raiding party, known only as the Renegades, have been linked to 5 separate incidents involving the brutal slaughter of entire families. Anyone with information on the whereabouts, identities, or favorite hobbies of the Renegades is asked to contact the Portland Gang Task Force.
You think I could kill them all?
Now then, I want to take a moment to address the issue I had, which had been interrupted previously. I'll be the first to admit that we don't know where these creatures came from. While I've been able to observe Oswell, whom has been a surprisingly pleasant companion in these difficult times, others are not as amicable. Many of these visitors can be found stalking through the ruins, ambushing animals and people alike, devouring anything in their path. Now, there are some who believe these things are divine, in their own words. That perhaps they've been sent down as ambassadors of peace or some high and mighty purpose.
Or has someone been in here?
They aren't. And they haven't.
Am I the one?
Don't give in to the propaganda. The Ark are liars and deceivers, and they will say whatever they need to in order to fool others into joining their twisted cause. Don't be sheep.
Tastes like
Think for yourself. Stay safe out there. This is Kara with Badlands Radio signing off. Good night, Portland. Good evening, survivors. This is Kara with Badlands Radio checking in.
hear people bleeding.
I don't want to alarm anyone, but it's come to my attention that we're being watched. Not by these creatures, no. I don't think many of them have the cognitive thought for long-term surveillance and information collection. Many of them seem to function in more primal drives, predatory killing machines, or the occasional sly prey evading sight. But first, let's take a quick break for our ad. Astrologists are reporting that they are baffled. While the dense clouds of smoke from the surrounding fires have refused to dissipate, a select few locations have been high enough in elevation to still see the sky. Or they should be able to see the sky. While observing what they thought to be the night sky, they reported 7 gigantic appendages stretching from the heavens towards Earth, though they can't be sure where each of them touched down due to the smoke blanket. As all the stars seem to be missing, astrologist Kevin King was quoted as saying, "Either the legs are attached to a massive entity high above the city, one big enough to completely blot out our entire sky, or all the stars have simply gone on vacation." Enough speculation, though. Now, my dear listeners, we've been monitored by a much more dangerous predator than these creatures. The Ark. I know this may sound paranoid, but hear me out. My control panel isn't the only one tied to this radio tower. This is the old one, but there's another, the newer one located on the upper floors. While I've found solace down here in the basement, the Ark's been growing overhead. There's no reason they wouldn't think to use the radio equipment, especially since among their ranks are the very people who ran the station prior to the events, which led up to where we are now. The Ark's reach is ever extending, their numbers are growing, and their plans are sinister. Please, my fellow survivors, do not be charmed by them. If any broadcast comes from this station which is not read by my voice, do not trust it. I would not put it past them to try to confuse you into handing over your freedom. Be safe out there, listeners. This is Kara with Badlands Radio signing off. Good night, Portland.
We stand on the cusp of a new dawn, an age ruled not by man or government, but by gods. The ways of the old world we once knew were obsolete. We will be delivered unto salvation by our new leaders, reborn into avatars chosen by the new gods and elevated into a nirvana beyond our comprehension. Do not get left behind during the rapture. Join the Ark. Become part of the new world.
Good evening, survivors. This is Kara with Badlands Radio checking in. Despite our best efforts, it's safe to say that our world has become contaminated. While the perpetually burning fires has turned our air supply into a hazardous smog, our water supply has been tainted by a mysterious rainfall. Cattle and livestock have become deformed. No, deformed isn't an accurate word, I guess. Altered, perhaps? Many livestock have begun to develop these unusual appendages, often additional limbs. A local dairy farmer, Mr. John Elroy, claims that 21 of his dairy cows have begun to produce various shades of purple milk. Despite the changes in their anatomy, they still seem pretty happy. Farmer Elroy is selling the milk to anyone interested in trying it. As bottled water and packaged supplies begin to run low, violence has broken out between people hoping to scavenge remaining supplies for themselves. Violent crimes and homicide is expected to only rise as the supplies dwindle. Oswald, as one of the visiting species, seems unhindered by these contaminations. He appears to absorb contaminated water through his amphibious skin, though the pearlescent residue he leaves as a trail seems to match the tint of what already is in the water supply. Perhaps his species has become contaminated too? Maybe they contaminated the water. They're not airborne, so I couldn't possibly cause the tainted rainfall, could they? I mean, regardless, he's surprisingly passive, even affectionate at times, like a slimy cat. I'm sorry, I've been rambling. I'll update you as I gather more information. In the meantime, stay safe out there, survivors. This is Kara with Badlands Radio signing out. Good night, Portland. Good evening, survivors. This is Kara with Badlands Radio checking in. I'm afraid to inform you viewers out there that there have been some recent events, as it were. Oswald has been staying with me since I found him hiding in my supplies, and he's been nothing but a pleasant, if not fascinating, companion. Late at night, he will often slither up onto the crates I made into my bed and curl up against my stomach, where I'd scratch him on the head until I fell asleep. It's nice. It's like having a cat again, but when I woke up today, I'm different now. Changing. My fingers have turned this dark color, and my fingernails, they're coming off, to put it lightly. It isn't even painful, really. It's just messy. They peel off like hardened chips of paint, taking with them these ragged strips of dead skin until all I have left is this wet, black flesh underneath. The more I looked, the more I noticed other things wrong with me. Maybe they've been there longer than I realize. I haven't looked in the mirror in quite some time. My shoulders feel odd. The entire section between my shoulder blades up to the base of my skull feels patchy and itchy, almost like a bad rash. Bumpy, I guess, but I can't really see it well in the mirror, so I don't know the extent of it. Oswald has been growing since I first found him. He's gained an additional 14 inches in length, and who knows how much weight, since I don't have a scale down here. His spines have doubled in size, and now seem to glow in a dim, pulsing pattern, though it's really only visible at night. I'm not sure how large his species can get, but perhaps someday he may be as big as a horse. After all, right now he's about as big as a German Shepherd. Guys, I don't know what's happening to me. How much more I'm going to change, what's even causing the changes, how this is going to end. I don't know anything right now, and I'm scared. I hope I'll be able to make at least a few more of these transmissions before, if I turn into one of those things. Please stay safe out there, survivors. And stay away from the Ark. They have to be behind this. I know they are. I've heard them in the vents. This is Kara with Badlands Radio, signing off. Good night, Portland.
We have strength in numbers. The Ark can provide you shelter, safety, and food in exchange for your loyalty. The world is a chaotic place. It's scary out there by yourself against the rest of the world. Do you wish to be alone during the rapture? Do you wish to be left behind when the floodwaters of damnation cover this world and drown the disloyal? Or will you be on the Ark, afloat with the rest of the chosen ones to herald in a new age? Condemnation or salvation? The choice is yours. Make the right one. Join the Ark.
Good evening, survivors. This is Care with Badlands Radio checking in. I know it's been some time. I'm happy to announce that the Ark is no more. You see, I had to. I had to stop them. I woke last night and Oswell wasn't here anymore. He got through the vent again somehow. Despite his size, just squeezed his thick body through the grate and into the system. I mean, he must have been attracted to the blood. You see, Oswell has a bit of a fascination for it. He doesn't eat it or anything like that. He just sort of splashes in it and rolls around. I mean, he loves this stuff. It's like catnip. Well, I mean, I couldn't leave Oswell up there all alone, and if the Ark got him... No, I had to go up there. Well, I didn't really expect it to be easy, but they're gone. I mean, not gone. Their bodies are all there. Well, most of their bodies. I mean, in pieces, but yeah, they're up there. They just made the red stain on the ceiling even bigger. After all, they'd been sacrificing their members for weeks up there, and, well, I mean, only certain members, but the stain is pretty big now, and constantly dripping. I guess that means that the entire radio station is ours now, mine and Oswald's, and he's invited others. Not quite like himself, but equally passive towards me nonetheless. It's like they've accepted me as one of their own now. I suppose these new appendages I've grown must be convincing to them. We can live together here. One big, happy family. These creatures aren't gods or demons, they're just... us. They're what we can all become. They're what you'll all become. A big, happy family. Good night, Portland. I'll see you soon.